Everyone wants to live an inspired life, yet so many people search for happiness following the footsteps of peers and taking advice from people who have different values and outcomes to which they're searching. There are people born into wealth, graduated from the best universities in the world, and there are people who have none of that and yet are living extraordinary lives full of fulfillment and reward. The purpose of this podcast is to share insights and strategies that allow you to question the status quo and think freely, so you can design your life and be who you want to be. We get one life. Time is our most valuable asset. I believe that when we're free and able to focus on meaningful work, we become better human beings. This is Always Free, and I'm your host, Jason Graystone.
Welcome to the leading podcast for financial empowerment and wealth creation. Subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss an episode. You can connect with Jason on social media and subscribe to the Jason Graystone YouTube channel for weekly videos. Don't forget to also subscribe to the weekly newsletter to receive frequent educational content and action steps to help you design your life so you can be who you want to be. For news on all future events and updates, go to jasongraystone.com.
Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today you're in for a treat because I'm with a friend and a business mentor, Daniel Priestley, who's just this week released a revised copy of Oversubscribed, which sells how many copies a year?
Oh, it's a lot. It's oversubscribed. It's hard to get. However many there are, there's more people than that who want it.
Absolutely. And one of the reasons I wanted Dan on is because he's already been on the podcast, but I wanted to do a video because some of the methodologies and the approach to business are very, very relevant when it comes to building wealth, financial freedom, because I know that I've applied the principles that Dan's taught in my own businesses, and I've seen how well that's done. It's something that I want to apply to every business that I ever create because it just works. And we're going to talk to you about some of the insights behind that oversubscribed principle, and we're going to talk about how some companies are very, very profitable and some companies aren't so profitable, and the differentiators between the two. And we're going to discuss some other cool stuff. So,
cool.
First of all, the book, when's it out?
27th of Feb, so it'll probably be already out when it gets out there.
By the time you're watching this, the book will already be out. And just talk us through kind of the principles behind Oversubscribed.
Yeah, so I think one of the reasons you like the book is because a lot of the principles overlap with trading principles. Yep. So principle number one is only oversubscribed businesses make a profit. So if you think about businesses big or small, let's go with a small business, someone who's a consultant who can look after 10 clients per year, but has 20 people who want to be a client, they're going to make profit. Their prices are going to be high, they're going to be happy, they're going to make plenty of income, and because they've always got a waiting list. And if you go to a big business like an airline, if they have a waiting list on their flights, they're going to make profit, and if their flights are half empty, they're not. Right. So this first principle of demand and supply tension, and demand and supply tension set the price, same as in the markets, right? So if you're trading a financial market, like as you know, more buyers than sellers push the price up, more sellers than buyers push the price down. So that's true for products. Yeah. Products, services, businesses. So the first principle of being oversubscribed is you have to have demand and supply tension around price.
Right, that is really what attracted me to the whole model, because as you say, when there's more buyers than sellers, the price goes up. So what I'm interested in is how you approach building that system around your business. So how do you actually go from being the average cup of coffee shop that sells coffee at 30p to selling it at £2, but a big queue out the door?
So the first thing you need to know is capacity, and capacity is what is the actual number of the supply number. What's supply side can I bring to the table? And we need to limit capacity, and the number one way to limit capacity is through your ability to deliver a delightful and uplifting experience. So it's not just the cup of coffee. It's, how long does it take to sit down and have a nice cup of coffee and to read the paper and have a really good experience at the cafe, and that it's not overcrowded and that you're not being rushed and that the staff are friendly. So we've got to actually look at all of those factors that go into creating a delightful experience, and that is our supply side. So I limit supply by delight. Now, if you think about a digital business, a person creates an online course, and they say, oh, well, theoretically 1 billion people can download the course and get great value from it. Well, if you take that approach, that means your supply side is 1 billion, which means that your price is going to drop to zero.
Yep.
People wonder why.
Commoditized, right?
Yeah, people say, oh, well, I created this great course and now people won't pay for it. It's like, well, you made supply a billion, so demand and supply means the price is going to go down. So you have to say, okay, well, how would a digital product be limited? Well, for starters, it's limited by the fact of who would get value from it, how many of those people are out there, how many of them can I add an additional layer of service to so that they really understand the product and get value from the product. And if we can start looking at all the factors that would go into delighting a person, then we can actually build a supply side tension.
By actually reducing your market.
We must reduce.
So that's a real problem for most business owners.
It's counterintuitive.
It is, but it has, when you start a business, most people just think about making the money. So it's very difficult to switch.
They think about, well, I want to sell 5,000. So I better tell everyone that it's available and that anyone can buy it right now because I want as many people to buy it as possible. The truth is that people don't work like that. No. People want to buy things that are hard to get. People want to buy things that others are queuing up for, that others see as desirable. So we don't buy what others want to sell. We buy what others want to buy.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So think about a exclusive luxury brand like Louis Vuitton. They don't let anyone into the store.
No.
They have a little velvet rope out the front, and they say,
security
guard. You got to stay out there, and you can't come in just yet. You have to wait your turn." And that actually signals to the marketplace that we've got something of great value that people are willing to line up for.
Yeah.
So we have to engineer a genuine supply tension, and the number one way to do that is just reverse engineer delight. What are all the ingredients that has to go into the product in order for someone to be blown away by it? And if you start with that, not just an average experience, not a good experience, not a satisfactory experience, but totally joyful, uplifting, delightful experience, that's what we're trying to reverse engineer.
Yeah.
And if you do that properly, there should actually be some constraint. And that constraint creates supply side tension. And then the other side of the equation is creating and manufacturing demand side tension.
Right.
The basic of it is that you need to break the year into 3 parts and have weekly campaigns that just happen on a perfect repeatable week, quarterly campaigns that are big and uplifting and create buzz, and then an annual big message that creates an ongoing conversation. And when we do those 3 things well, the perfect repeatable week, the quarterly campaign, and the annual big message, we actually manufacture an excess of demand. And then basically what we're trying to do is create higher demand than supply.
So you can charge what you like. So because it's so delightful, you charge what you like.
Exactly. Right. Demand and supply tension will then set a price that's profitable.
And also in the delight, it's being able to deliver a product that people want to tell other people about. Because
exactly. You need to...
That's almost a flywheel effect of buzz and hype.
Yeah, you're looking for something that's remarkable. And in the book we talk about think like a media company, so that you actually make something that people want to photograph and share on Instagram. You make something that people want to record a podcast about, or they want to put on their YouTube channel or their Facebook account. And if you can create something that is kind of share worthy or remarkable, then that reduces your marketing costs to zero.
I always think of Coca-Cola when they just decided to print names on a bottle. Yeah. They literally didn't change any marketing. They just printed some labels.
Yeah, exactly. I'm with Jason.
And now everyone is over the world sharing the bottles. And it doesn't have to be complicated, right? It can be the simplest thing. So what I see a lot of people making the mistake of is they build products that they think that people need instead of really kind of getting to grips with who they can give delight to. But almost they don't necessarily meet people where they're at and give them what they want, then give them what they need.
Well, one of the revised chapters in the book is meet people where they're at and speak their language. And it's all about this idea that people are not going to buy what they need, they're going to buy what they want. And what they want is a product that speaks to them in the language that they understand right this minute. So for example, a fitness trainer who really understands fitness and they understand that end result of being super fit, and they start talking in the language of macros, and they talk in the language of dedicated high intensity trainings every 4 weeks and all this sort of stuff. Well, they start talking about all the stuff that you need to do, and it doesn't resonate with people who are at the beginning of the journey with what they want. And if you can talk to people in the language of what they want and deliver what they need, then you've mastered the art of taking people on that journey.
Yeah, I always think of a vitamin and a paracetamol. And although the person's got a headache because they're kind of malnourished, they need vitamins.
Yeah.
But it's easier to give them a paracetamol because they want the paracetamol to get rid of the headache, right?
And the perfect business is a business that does both.
Right.
So recently I was talking to someone who you and I both know, Sebastian, in Dubai, who's running a program on bullying, anti-bullying campaign. And he was talking to me about this 6-month approach to getting a child out of bullying and how he's put that into a course. And we were also talking about, well, actually, there's a 48-hour approach as well. So when an incident happens, you actually have to have an intensive remove the situation, remove the pain, de-escalate the situation. So he has to have one product that is the first 48 hours, another product that is the 2 weeks, and the other product that is the 6-month resilience, rebuilding, rehabilitation sort of approach. And he can have all of those products. But the problem is he says, well, you know, to apply the principle, the 6-month program is what people need, but what they want in that moment is something that fixes the problem right now, reduces the headache right this minute. So great companies do both. They have the vitamins and the paracetamol.
Yeah, I agree, totally. Give them what they want, meet them where they're at, then give them
remove
what they
that
need.
headache, and then say, let's fix this long term.
Yeah, terrible companies just kind of keep people polarized.
Yeah, well, terrible companies turn up the pain artificially in order to then sell the paracetamol.
Or they just sell the dream and sell the dream and sell the dream and never get...
Totally. And see, this is the other thing. You've got to... Some of the techniques that I talk about in the book, they are being used by unethical companies. And you know, the thing that makes it ethical is delivering what you say you'd deliver and then some. And never sell the
Surprises
dream. Surprise, delight,
Yeah.
make it remarkable. And really the question comes down to, knowing what you now know, would you buy the product again? And if the answer for most of the scammy companies is no, I got scammed, as opposed to with great companies, it's like yes, and I would actually recommend others.
Yeah. Right. So tell us a little bit about marketing then, because obviously marketing's a big thing now, especially as we're purely digital. We're not using newspapers and magazines and all that anymore. How would you in terms of profit, we're going to start talking about profit now. So let's say you've built a business that's kind of got this perfect avatar and you're delivering delight, people are talking about you, you're keeping it oversubscribed. What are your recommendations around marketing that product and business?
Well, I'm a big fan of moving marketing budgets into remarkable budgets. So rather than having purely and simply marketing, put more money into making what you do remarkable, and then let the customer do the marketing.
Right.
Like create clear messaging, create great assets that people can share, create moments of delight that people can talk about. And I'm also not saying don't do advertising and don't do marketing. There's certainly a role for it. There's certainly a place for it. There's certainly a way of notifying people that, you know, you've got great things going on and that you can run effective advertising campaigns. If you're going to run a big event, you know, market it, right? Tell some people about it. But the number one long-term marketing strategy has to be turning your clients into raving fans and developing the underlying assets that do that.
Yeah, because that's free, eh?
Yeah. Now, the other thing too, there's big macro marketing trends, and I talk about this in the book, the revised edition. In fact, what spurred on the revised edition was the US presidential election. So the book came out the first edition came out in 2015, and then the second, a year later, Donald Trump won the election, and it actually changed the landscape of marketing. And the reason for that is US presidential elections, they tell you what is the biggest trend to come in the world of marketing. So Franklin Roosevelt, he did radio fireside chats, and that moved the world from print to radio. JFK won on televised debates, that moved the world from radio to television. Obama won using social media marketing and social media engagement, that moved the world from television to social media. And Donald Trump used data analytics and hyper-targeted advertising, hyper-targeted marketing, creating a bubble of information around people. And we think of that as the Cambridge Analytica. So that actually tells you. So in 2008, when Obama won using social media, that set the trend for 10 years of social media marketing being the biggest thing. But Donald Trump using data and analytics sets the trend for the next 10 years that data and analytics are the next big thing. So in 2010, if you said you were a social media marketing expert, you were a rock star. Every business wanted to know you. In the 2020s, if you say you're a data scientist or a data analytics person, that's going to be the new rock star.
I agree with you, yeah.
That will be the new social media marketer.
Yeah.
So this is a big trend that people need to be understanding. If you go out and market your business with social media engagement, you're not going to get the same result that you did 10 years ago. It's all about data. You have to harness data, capture data, leverage data, use data as an asset. And what I mean by that specifically is you've got to tailor your message based on the data. So if you have one person who says, if they're giving you data that says the reason I want to buy is because I really like the color blue, you need to give them back the information that says, well, here's all the blue things. And if someone else says, I like the color green, it's like, well, then here's how it looks in green.
Yeah, right.
So you can't do this whole one-size-fits-all marketing anymore.
And we were talking about this yesterday in the markets when we were talking about the coronavirus. And, just a couple of months ago it was Iran, and now that's forgotten, and now it's the coronavirus, and by the summer the coronavirus will be forgotten. And the people that win are the ones that hone in on what the market's telling them.
Yeah, well, do you know what's happening? So Iran, January. So that bomb goes down and the general get hit.
Yep.
And basically what happened as a result, the week after that, Donald Trump ran 4,000 variations of ads with a $600,000 database.
How many ads?
4,000 variations.
4,000 ads.
Yep.
Variations.
4,000 different variations.
Right.
With $600,000 worth of budget. And he was actually running survey ads. So he was asking people, fill in this little survey, tell me what you think of this campaign. Or tell me what you think of this action. Did you think it was decisive? Did you think it was reckless? Did you think it was going to have long-term benefits or short-term benefits? Do you think I neutralized the threat? So he's asking these questions and he's eliciting the language.
Data as well.
And he's using Facebook ads to segment really like 4,000 different segments. So he knows specifically people in California think this, people in Utah think that, people in Oregon think this, people who are older think it this way, people who are younger think it this way. So he's then able to go back to people and tell them essentially feed back the message.
Right.
So if you said to me, I thought it was really decisive, he'll go back to you and say, for more decisive action, vote Trump, right? Someone who says, I thought it had long-term benefits. For more long-term benefits, vote Trump. So any major event that's happening now, the reason Trump is so far ahead of the Democrats is because the Democrats are still doing social media engagement, social media marketing. They're crafting a message and then broadcasting a message.
Yeah.
Trump's moved on, or Trump's team has moved on, and every major event that's happening, they're casting out thousands of ads, finding out what people think about it. So they're currently running ads, tell us what you think about coronavirus. Yeah. What should the US be doing? What activities should Trump, Trump is going to have a coronavirus. Actually, the ads say Donald Trump will have a coronavirus briefing. What do you want to see discussed in that meeting? Right. So they're surveying people and they're finding out. Some people are scared of it. Some people don't care about it. They just know everything about everyone, and they're using Facebook ads as a way, and surveys as a way to collect data.
Make their market.
Yeah.
Right.
So they're doing that. Now, at the same time that Trump is running 4,000 variations of ads with $600,000 budget, the Democrats ran a Wish Michelle Obama a Happy Birthday campaign, which they broadcast out completely, no data, no information. Yeah. Now, mind you, I'm not talking a political conversation. I'm just talking about a technicalities of how each campaign is running. Yeah. And the Trump campaign is infinitely, an order of magnitude more sophisticated at this point.
I'm absolutely obsessed with data, and trends. Yeah. And I research it, and every Sunday I spend 3 hours looking at data. But for people who don't have, I'd run surveys for everything. But for people who don't have £600,000 for a budget, how would you suggest that people do start to collect this sort of data?
Well, if you look over the last several years, my company Dent, we have grown pretty exponentially. And our main marketing tool is we encourage people to take a survey, 40 questions, and they're all quick yes/no questions, bang, 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 bang. Do you have a strong pitch? Have you got a product ready to ship internationally? Are you comfortable with a pitching scenario in the next 24 hours? It asks lots of questions, and then it highlights just yes or no. And it highlights at the end, it tells the person who takes the scorecard where they're strong and where they're weak, but it also tells us where they're strong and where they're weak. When our team phone up and talk to them, they say, hey, Jason, you scored really high for profile, but you scored your lowest score was partnerships. Can we talk to you about how you might strengthen your business through partnerships? And because we're talking about the thing that matters most to you, you're going, yeah, let's talk about it.
Of course, yeah.
So simple strategy is just conducting more and more and more surveys of your clients and potential clients, and then responding based on how they answer. Now, we have pioneered some technology around this called ScoreApp, scoreapp.com, basically setting up online scorecards. And what we're doing at the moment, we haven't released this feature, but it'll come soon, is it will actually build and write an email campaign in real time.
For retargeting.
So it'll give you a retargeted list that you can then use on Facebook, and it will also build an email campaign that speaks directly to the way people answered their questions. So without you having to load up a special email marketing campaign or even think about it, if someone scores low on this, it starts emailing in a particular way, high on this one, starts emailing in a particular way. So the email campaign automatically responds to how you fill in the survey.
Amazing. And what kind of questions would you be asking?
Yes, no questions.
Yes, no questions.
So it's really simple. You want yes, no questions, because that's what the brain just loves to fire through. As soon as you say yes, no, maybe, sometimes.
Right. As soon as they have to think.
Right? So yes, no questions are the most powerful questions.
Yep.
As soon as people have to think, they shut off. And then the other one you want to ask, essentially the question should relate to two things predominantly. Number one, a past behavior. Are you doing this? Have you done this? Or a current frustration. Are you frustrated by this? Are you annoyed by this? Those two questions in different variations will get people fastest through a scorecard. And if you're asking people about their frustrations, and if you're asking them about behavior, they can answer you very rapidly, very quickly,
right.
and if it's yes or no. And essentially, if you can build a 30 or 40 question scorecard around that, you will start getting lots of data that you can then respond to.
Amazing. If you want to check out an example of that scorecard, you can go on the KPI.
Key person of influence. Search Key Person of Influence scorecard in Google. That will give you an example.
Yeah, that will give you a feel for that data collection process.
Strategy, yeah.
And how many people have filled in that?
70,000 people. I recently calculated, using this approach, we spent £107,000 on ads,
right,
and generated 2.7 million in sales. So it was a 3.9% ad spend, which is very low.
Yep.
Most people spend 10 to 15%, which is why it cuts into their profit. The correct amount is somewhere between 5 and 9% typically.
5 and 9%, right.
And then under 5%, you're actually underspending on ads. So what came out of my review is that we're actually spending too little on ads.
Right.
We're getting such a great response from this that our ad budgets aren't keeping up with the sales.
Right.
So we're making way on the far end of high performance.
But you've also got to be cautious of that fine line between where your capacity to delight is, right? Because you're limited by the capacity.
Yeah, so at all times you should never exceed your capacity to delight. As a general rule, any time you're not delighting one, you're actually risking not delighting everyone.
Yeah, right.
So imagine a restaurant, if they overcrowd the restaurant, suddenly everyone goes from having a good time to everyone having a bad time.
Yeah, right.
And this is actually surprisingly true with a lot of businesses. There's a tipping point where you're not just pissing off one person, you're pissing off everyone.
Yeah. So with regards to that, just to finish up on that scorecard, that's something that you could do straight away before you even start a business, isn't it?
Yes, in fact you should. So I probably wouldn't use that kind of scorecard. Maybe you'd just do a basic survey. I love it when, I see 3,000 companies starting up or growing, and whenever if I'm talking to startup, whenever I see someone who says, I've just spent the last month doing face-to-face interviews, face-to-face surveys, I know they're going to crush it. Yeah. They're going to massively crush it.
Because they understand.
They know people. They've gotten face-to-face. They've seen the non-verbal communication. They understand the language. They've honed in on the frustrations as cheaply and as fast as you can by asking lots of questions. And then whenever I see someone who says, I've had an idea and I'm building a website and I'm putting a CRM together and I'm coding away and I'm building and I'm, it's just like, I know it's not possible that you're going to massively just tune into the marketplace and what the market wants by guessing.
And it goes back again to giving them what they think they need, which you're basically setting a rod for your own back, because you've got to then go and market it.
Yeah, and then you get committed to a particular strategy, and it's hugely expensive to switch.
Yeah, right.
Suddenly you've committed to green, and the marketplace always wanted it in red, and now you've got to go back and rebuild the thing in red.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so finally then, I'd love to talk about just a little bit of some of the insights from, you're writing a new book called Doubling Speed.
Doubling Speed, yeah.
And I'm obsessed with the studies that you're doing on some of the companies. So can you share some insights on what it takes to really excel as a business?
So there's a small number of companies that have consistently doubled around the same time frame, year upon year upon year. So for example, they might double every 2 to 3 years.
Right.
And they do it like clockwork. And their businesses like McDonald's, like Nike, like Facebook, that was like every 9 months for 10 years.
Yeah, right.
Every 9 months. Yeah, there are businesses that plateau and then they get back into a doubling speed, like Lego, Fender guitars. So what I'm doing is I'm doing a research project into businesses that just double and double and double, and they go from 1 million to 2 to 4 to 8 to 16 to 32, and then they go from 1 billion to 2 billion to 4 billion to 8 billion. And there are actually these companies that do it, and it's incredible. Rolex is another one. Mm-hmm. Hans Wilsdorf, creates the Rolex and the wristwatch, the male wristwatch. And he goes and gets a marketplace, and he doubles and doubles and doubles, and now they're like, you can't even get one, and they're a massive, massive company. So I've gone out to look at companies that just double and double and double. And what happens is that all businesses hit a complexity wall, and essentially something creates complexity. It could be the culture, that they just can't add more people to the team and maintain performance. It could be the product hits a wall as to the market size.
Location.
Yeah, it can be locations that, like for example, a McDonald's store, it's unlikely that a McDonald's store is ever going to do more than say 2 million in sales, but you can have lots of McDonald's stores.
Yeah, right.
So you'd be foolish to try and get one McDonald's store to do $100 million, right? Yeah. But you'd be fine to put 50 of them around. Yeah. So we identify the difference between growing and scaling. Growing is getting better performance. Scaling is duplicating performance in new regions and new locations. So we want to look at, do you need to grow or do you need to scale? It's very hard, as I say, it's very hard to grow a McDonald's, but very easy to scale a McDonald's. And that was the key distinction that they made. So we look at how do you set up a team so that you're not going to hit complexity walls. It kind of flies in the face of a lot of the most recent thinking around teams being flat, lovely, peace, love, doves, and Hare Krishna kind of approach. It's actually, you do need some hierarchy, you do need some rules. Yeah. You need to have some high standards around who stays and who goes. Yeah. Everyone's kind of like hold hands and sing Kumbaya, which works up to about 12 people. But after you hit 12 people, you hit a complexity wall.
Definitely.
And you need a little bit of rules. Look, for starters, I really wish everyone would stop thinking online or offline. Everyone is online, everyone's offline. Yeah. Like, we've crossed a barrier long ago that a lot of people say, oh, I want to build an online business. No, you want to build a business that really resonates with people. You want to build a business that touches people, that triggers emotion, that makes people think, I can't live without that. Yeah. And the idea that you're, it's almost as silly as saying, I want to build an on-radio business. Or I want to, it's like, it's just a tool, right? Yeah. And the fact that it's delivered online, or some value is delivered online, all businesses have to deliver some value online, right? A hair salon has to have an online booking system now, if you want to be a good hair salon, and a good business that might have an online course should probably have offline meetups and should probably have things that are happening, or probably stick something in the mail that makes it physical. So delete the word online. Just get rid of it and just think about person to person, value proposition, getting out to as many people as possible, and maintaining delight. So if I can delight one person, I can delight 4. I can delight 4, I can think about 20. If I can think about 20, I can think about 100. Yeah. And it's kind of like just taking that little milestone, not skipping straight to I want 100 because my monkey brain says 100 would pay my bills and get me a Ferrari. Yeah. It's like 100 people is made up of 100 people 100 individuals who each have needs, who are fussy, who will cut you out real fast if you're not delivering value. So if you can't please one, forget about 100.
Yep.
Right? Just figure out how to make one person happy, and then start thinking about 4, start thinking about 20, start thinking about 100. If you can't make one McDonald's restaurant run profitably, forget about having 100.
Yeah.
Right? So we get the model right, and then we go and expand.
Excellent. All right, well, that was an extremely valuable interview there with Dan. As I say, the book is out as you're watching this. This came out today or yesterday, and I think I'm in the book as well.
You are in the book. Yeah, your story is in the book.
My story is in the book, so definitely go and check it out. But no, seriously, it's an amazing book. I've applied these principles to 2 businesses in the last 3 years, done 7 figures in 12 months.
Yeah, rapid growth and raving fans.
Raving fans, yeah. Absolutely live by, do what Dan says when it comes to business. And one other thing you can do is go and check out the scorecard, or you can check out the Score app.
Yeah, you can check out our scorecard, which is Key Person of Influence scorecard, or scoreapp.com will actually show you the technology that we're building to make that a reality for more businesses.
Wow, scoreapp.com, all the links are below. So till next time, guys, thanks for watching and see you then.
Subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss an episode. For news on all future events and updates, go to jasongraystone.com.